These are the blues, nothing but blues. Oh, they say some people long ago were searching for a different tune, one that they could croon as only they can. They only had the rhythm, so they started swaying to and fro. They didn't know just what to use. This is how the blues really began. They heard the breeze in the trees, singing weird melodies, and they made the start of the blues. And from a jail came the wail of a downhearted frail, and they played that as part of the blues. They grabbed a new note, pushed it through a horn till it was worn into a blue note. And then they nursed it and they rehearsed it, and then sent out the news that the Southland gave birth to the blues. They nursed it, then they rehearsed it, and then they sent out the news that the Southland gave birth to the blues. Hello there, everybody. Long time no see, it seems like. Yeah, I've had a couple of requests, and a lot of things been going on the last few weeks since I last did one of these, and it's good to be back. I hope you enjoy the music I've selected for you today, and got a couple of requests that I intend to fulfill today. Well, first of all, you saw the title of the video. Video says Harry James and Two Franks, and so I'm going to be explaining that here in just a little while. But it is time to do a commercial for my book, Harry James, Trumpet Icon. It's unlike any musical biography you've ever read, I'm sure. And I've gotten so many positive and encouraging feedbacks over the last nearly 2 years since the book went to Amazon. Price has been lowered, so a little bit more of a motivation for you to pick up a copy. It's available in the paperback and also in a Kindle version. But it explains how Harry James became the trumpet player and band leader that he was. It's not an effort to deal with the everyday life of Harry James and all the romances and all the other jazz that somebody else thought was important. This is just about his music and how it's influenced literally thousands of trumpet players over the years, and it continues to do so today. Anyway, gonna do a Harry James tune here. Something just fell. Anyway, here's a song. I've wanted to do the Harry James version of this, and I have to be honest. I couldn't find a track. I couldn't make a track. I tried to take Harry's trumpet off of the recording and couldn't do it. But in 1971, Harry recorded a series of recordings in London, England, that were used on the Reader's Digest recordings of the. They did some big band recordings from the late 60s into the early 70s, about a 3 or 4 year period. A lot of band leaders were on there, a lot of different bands. And so Harry recorded this tune. I always wondered why he never recorded it before, because it was perfect for his style. So Rob Turk wrote the arrangement, and it was played by an orchestra of British musicians. And so what I've done is I'm going to try to adapt the Harry James style solo to a Frank Sinatra track. Now, the arrangement was done by Axel Stordahl, and the problem was it was in the wrong key. It was in the key of C. Now, Harry liked to play ballads in the key of D, which put him into 4 sharps, which is challenging for most of us mere mortal trumpet players. So what I did was I manipulated the pitch of the track to put it into the key of D, which will be the key of E for me. And I'm going to try to play Harry's solo on I'll Be Seeing You to this Frank Sinatra track. I hope you enjoy it. Hope it comes out okay. I'll be seeing you. And that one, Peter Moss, I hope you enjoy it. I think there's a chance you might have been in that studio that day when that was recorded. But anyway, it's impossible to do Harry James justice, to try to play his solos, even the ones in a ballad. They're so complex and difficult to execute, so that was the best I've got today. Anyway, here's the song. This is a request. And this comes from my friend Peter Moss. And he and I got into a discussion over the song Cry Me a River. And he has an orchestration of, I think, the Michael Bublé version of it, which is it's a fabulous recording. Big, dramatic, theatrical arrangement. But I've chosen to do something a little different. Now, I mentioned earlier the title of this video is Harry James and Two Franks. And of course, I started off with Frank Sinatra's version of Birth of the Blues, which was, the record said it was conducted by Axel Stordahl, but the arrangement was actually done by Heine Boe, who was a fine clarinet player. Anyway, about 20 years ago, there surfaced a offline recording. And what I mean by that was Frank Sinatra didn't have a microphone. He was standing literally on the floor at Bally's Casino in Atlantic City, and the orchestra was up on the risers, up on the stage, and Frank was standing off stage and just looking at the music and running through this arrangement for the first time. And the arrangement was by the great Billy May. In fact, it was the final arrangement that Billy May ever wrote for Frank Sinatra. And he had written, you know, so many wonderful ones. But anyway, he wrote this for Frank. And Billy was conducting the orchestra, running through the chart. And Frank was reading the music, and somebody happened to capture it on a cassette recorder or something, and it leaked out into the bootleg universe for a while, until I think the Sinatra family made it go away. Well, it didn't totally go away. I actually still have a copy of that recording. But you can hear on this poorly recorded audio that this was a great arrangement that Frank Sinatra should have been singing during his concerts through those days. I mean, it nails the song. And at the end of it, you can hear a voice saying, okay, put that one away. In other words, and I don't know if it was Frank that said it, or Billy May, or Frank Jr., I don't know who said it, but they never did it again. Frank never sang it. Now, fast forward from 1988, when that occurred, to 2006. Frank Sinatra Jr. recorded what was to be his last album. It was called That Face. And so he decided to resurrect Billy May's great arrangement of Cry Me a River and put it on his album. And you can hear, even with me singing, you can hear the power in this arrangement. And you'll notice in this that there's a tenor saxophone solo and a trombone solo. On the original recording with Frank Jr., the great Plas Johnson played the tenor sax solo, and the wonderful, magnificent Karl Fontana played the trombone solo. Of course, this is neither Plas Johnson or Karl Fontana on this track. But anyway, Peter Moss, I hope I can do this justice. You'll see what a great arrangement Billy May wrote of Cry Me a River. Now you say you say you're lonely, you cry the long night through. Well, you can cry me a river, cry me a river. I cried a river over you. Now you say you're sorry for being so untrue. Well, you can cry me a river, cry me a river. I cried a river over you. You drove me, nearly drove me out of my head, while you never shed a tear. Remember, I remember all that you said. You told me love was too plebeian, told me you were through with me, and now you say you love me. Well, just to prove that you do, come on and cry me a river, cry me a river, and I cried a river over you. Remember all that you said. Told me love was too plebeian, told me you were through with me, and now you say you love me. Well, just to prove that you do, come on and cry me a river. can tell, that arrangement, it was as good as anything Billy May ever wrote for Frank Sinatra. Peter Moss, I hope you liked it. I hope that was close enough to fulfill your request. Let me just throw an ad out there for me. You know, I'm like many, many other musicians all over the place, and most of our work has come to a standstill, almost completely, if not totally. In fact, in January, all of the gigs that I had booked in January all canceled due to COVID. And so I put together these videos, and I put a couple of links on there. If you feel like you want to throw a tip into my tip jar on Patreon or on PayPal, there's the web addresses, the links to do that. And if you feel like what I'm doing is important and preserving this music and this style, you know, just throw the old man a bone. I sure would appreciate it. Well, here's another Harry James tune. This one's a little bit different. The song is Moonglow. And Harry recorded it twice during his career. Once in 1947, 46, 47. And it was a Johnny Thompson arrangement. And it was an interesting arrangement because it went through a couple of genres in the execution of the chart. And I wouldn't list it as one of Harry's best because he wasn't that featured on the recording. And then in 1971, longtime Harry James pianist, Jack Percival, wrote an arrangement for the band, and it just seemed to fit perfectly. And of course, the song is Moonglow. And most of you know, if you've been paying attention for the last 70 years, that there was a movie called Picnic, had William Holden in it, and it had the theme. It was called the theme from Picnic, but it was based on the chord progression, of course, of Moonglow. And so over the years, you know, several artists and bands have recorded arrangements of both songs and sometimes combining them. Well, I couldn't find a track to play this. Although I've played it in person with a big band, I have the arrangement of it. And so my friend Karl Wingruber sent me a piano track. And I think I can make it work. So what I'd like to do is just a piano accompanying me. And I'd like to play a version of Harry's solo on it. And also play the lead trumpet part through the second chorus on the recording. It was recorded in 1979 for the album Still Harry After All These Years, one of the great Sheffield Lab albums. So Karl, thank you for the piano track, and I hope I can pull this off on the Harry James version of Moonglow. Thank you, Karl, for the nice piano track. And I hope that came off okay. Anyway, I'm going to do one more song for you. Once again, if you feel like contributing through my tip jars, there's the links there. Need to get a copy of my book, Harry James Trumpet Icon. It's available on Amazon, paperback, and Kindle. So, this song, most of you, or many of you anyway, probably never heard of before. And when Frank Sinatra recorded this, to be honest, they had such high hopes. That's interesting. High hopes. High hopes for the recording. And a couple of things makes it unique. First of all, the song was written by a guy named Bob Wells. Bob Wells was the co-writer of the Christmas song. And so he wrote the song. And the arrangement for Frank Sinatra was one of only 2 arrangements that were ever written for Frank Sinatra by the wonderful Marty Page. And of course, Marty not only was famous for many great small group recordings throughout the 50s and 60s, but also was the writer and produced a couple of albums for the great Mel Torme. So what's interesting, it's come for a full circle. Bob Wells and Mel Torme did the Christmas song, and now Marty Page, who wrote for Mel Torme, did this arrangement for Frank Sinatra. And to be honest, Marty expressed some consternation. He never understood why Frank never asked him to write again, because this arrangement is a great arrangement. Anyway, when you listen to the arrangement, you can hear that Marty Page had been listening to both Nelson Riddle and Billy Mays' work for Frank Sinatra. So the song is called Here's to the Losers. And I want to read something here from this. If you've never gotten a copy of this great book, The Song Is You, A Singer's Art, by Will Friedwald, it is the absolute final authority on Frank Sinatra's recording career. But here's what he says about this particular song. He says that it says, here's to the losers, like ring-a-ding-ding and come blow your horn, put together around the time for the chairman by Kahn, Van Heusen, and Riddle, is an almost perfect piece of manufactured Sinatriana. If the payoff line in the song had only gone, here's to the losers, bless us all, instead of bless them or bless them all, then it might have grown to have the ironic edge it needed to become an impeccable Sinatra masterpiece. Anyway, the song is called Here's to the Losers, and I hope you enjoyed it if you're hearing this for the first time. Those who love not wisely, no, not wisely, but too well. To the girl who sighs with envy when she hears that wedding bell. To the guy who'd throw a party if he knew someone to call. Here's to the loser, plus them all. Here's to those who drink their dinners when that lady doesn't show. To the girl who'll wait for kisses underneath that mistletoe. Who love not wisely, no, not wisely, but too well. To the girl who sighs with envy when she hears that wedding bell. To the guy who'd throw a party if he knew someone to call. Here's to the loser, bless them all. Here's to those who drink their dinners when that lady doesn't show. To the girl who waits for kisses underneath that mistletoe. To the lonely summer lovers when the leaves begin to fall. Here's to the losers, bless them all. Hey, Tom, Dick, and Harry, coming out of that rain, those torches you carry must be drowned in champagne. Here's the last toast of the evening. Here's to those who still believe. All the losers will be winners, all the givers shall receive. Here's to trouble-free tomorrows, may your sorrows all be small. Here's to the losers, bless them all. Hey, Tom, Dick, and Harry, coming out of that rain, that torch that you carry must be drowned in champagne. Here's the last toast of the evening. Here's to those who still believe. All the losers will be winners, all the givers shall receive. Here's to trouble-free tomorrows, may our sorrows all be small. Here's to the losers, here's to the losers, here's to the losers. Bless us all. Yeah, and you noticed I included myself in that category. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for coming back to my channel. The channel continues to grow. And keep checking back. Subscribe if you haven't. And until I see you again the next time, cheers. Have a great February.